3 weeks ago, my mom sent me an email. She had found a French language learning app. It is a new version of something that's been around a while, but neither one of us knew that at the time. And she wanted to know if I'd heard of it and if I thought it was worth the money. Honestly, I hadn't heard of it. And regarding the money, well, things are pretty tight for us too around here. But I clicked through and saw that they offer a 7-day free trial. So I had an idea. I'm going to sign up for this trial today, which is Monday, and I'm going to use it every day for 6 days. And on Saturday, the 6th day, I'm going to decide, do I keep it or do I cancel it? Stick around to the end to see what I decide, and I can't tell you which way it's going to go right now. So I'll be just as surprised as you are by the time we get there. And a quick note from editor Brendan late on a Saturday night where I am still chopping away at this thing. Don't forget that, like pretty much all of our videos, this one is chapter marked. So if you don't want to stick around for every little detail, you can jump right to the part that interests you, including the conclusion. So just have a look in the description or the timeline, and we'll see you wherever we see you. Producer Brendan checking in from Sunday. I suspected this video might be long. Editor Brendan confirmed it was long for you yesterday. And now that I'm about to upload it, and hopefully you're going to watch it, I can officially confirm, yeah, it's long, but use the chapter markers. I won't be offended, and I won't really know what you did. But if you watch it all the way through, I appreciate you. You're a real one. Anyway, let's get on with this. If you're new here, hi, I'm Brendan. I am one half of Chez Davis, along with my wife, Susie, and we talk about life in France, specifically the Paris area where we live. But learning French is obviously a huge part of that. And we have a bunch of videos about this, so if you're interested in some of those, you can check that out right up here. The super quick backstory on me and my language journey is that in high school and college, I studied Spanish. That was my foreign language of choice. And about 7 years ago, I started studying French with Duolingo. But in between studying Spanish and then much later starting to learn French, I worked for years learning Mandarin Chinese. I began in the early 2010s using Pimsleur, which is a audio-only method where you listen and repeat. You listen to sentences in real conversations and you repeat them and practice your pronunciation. And it's very practical stuff. Some of it's a little corny, but it's very functional and very useful. And when I started traveling to and from China and then later moved there, I found out how well that had prepared me, because I would meet people and start speaking the very basic things I knew how to say, and I expected what they would say. And so I could have a small conversation and people would often think I was much more fluent than I was. And it is pretty funny to tell someone in their native language in what sounds like pretty perfect pronunciation for a foreigner, sorry, I don't really speak your language, because they were very confused, understandably. But I also tried Rosetta Stone back then, and I haven't tried it in a long time. So in fairness, I should probably give it another shot to sort of, see what I think of it in 2026. But honestly, at least for Chinese, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. It did not resonate with me the way it was taught. And Pimsleur worked really, really well because of that oral practice. And so when I saw this new app, I thought, this is what Pimsleur is missing. It's the oral practice, but with feedback. So that's why I'm excited to actually give this a try. So this app is called Copycat Cafe. And to me, it looks like it promises more of that Pimsleur style real world audio learning, but with an actual feedback loop on pronunciation via AI. And to me, that's the missing link to making Pimsleur perfect. So I'm definitely interested to try it. Just a quick note to be clear, this video is not sponsored in any way. The makers of this app have no idea who I am, much less that I'm making this video. And, I might love it or I might hate it. And if I hate it, I'll tell you that too. But, we'll see. I'm going into this with an open mind. I want it to be awesome. I really want it to be awesome. So that's my bias all around. I am not biased other than I hope it is as good as I would like it to be. So let's find out. So here's the game plan. I'm going to take you through the sign up right now. And then I'm going to do one 15-minute lesson every day for 6 days. And don't worry, I'm not going to show you all of this in real time. I will edit it down very aggressively to just the highlights where I have an aha moment, or I think something is great or something is terrible. And anything that seems worth keeping, I'll keep it in the edit. But at the end of this, on day 6, I'll give you my final verdict of what I thought and what I'm going to do. So again, today is Monday, which is day 1, and Saturday is Judgment Day. Let's see if this thing actually works. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is create an account. It wants to know, why am I here? So what brings you to the cafe? All right, I like the black cat logo. Bonus points for that. So order confidently at French restaurants. I do that already. Have conversations on my trip to Paris. I live here, and I'm fine with basic day-to-day French. Connect with French-speaking family and friends. Deepen those relationships. That's good, but I think advance my career, stand out professionally. Let's go with that. Where are you starting from? Okay, I'm not a complete beginner. I do know some basics. I can read but can't speak. I'm conversational. I can hold basic conversations. When will you practice? 15 minutes is the sweet spot, so let's go for that. So now I'm going to create my account, and of course I will redact my personal information from the video, but otherwise I'll let you know how long this took when I'm done. Okay, so next we're at the pricing tier, and I have to pick one of these options to start my 7-day free trial. Let's see what our choices are. Yikes! So paying month to month, and of course I'm based in France, so it's showing me euros. It'll, I assume, default to the currency of your choice wherever you are. So 24.5 euros a month. Money's pretty tight. This is gonna have to be pretty awesome for me to be able to afford that. It's only half as much if you pay for a year, but that's, you know, close to 150 euros like right now. Can't do that. So let's choose this and hit start 7-day free trial. And it wants a payment method, so let's see how this works. Okay, so bonjour, Brendan says, I am a curious cat. So I wonder how we should do this. Let's see. Okay, I guess we will just go through here. So this tells us, I guess, that there are 9 flashcards to review and memorize vocabulary. You can also just free chat, and then it looks like the lessons are structured this way. I think what I should probably do, I'm figuring this out in real time with you. Wow, lots of stuff here. Oh, this is kind of cool. You can choose a conversation about any number of topics. See what you talk about. To keep this simple, I will do a flashcard review, and then I will just start going through these lessons in order. I'll just take them in order. So it says all levels. I am technically advanced A2, low level B1. I'll just keep it at all levels right now, and it'll tell me. Maybe it'll tell me what it thinks my level is when we're done. So let's look at the flashcards first. So what do we do here? All right, so it looks like, they have a hands-free review. So you can do this while you're walking or driving. I am using the computer at home, so I don't think I'm doing either of those. Okay, so these are the flashcards, and I see the words. I'll just go through these in order. So,
Excusez-moi, monsieur.
Excusez-moi, monsieur. Is it listening to me? I guess it's not listening to me yet. This is for me to practice, okay. Où est le métro?
Où est le métro?
So what I see about these flashcards anyway is that there is no audio input from you to practice. It's simply making sure you know these phrases, and then it lets you play the example to hear it at full speed or half speed. Okay, so we're back to the main page, and the first thing I've learned is that the flashcards, though no doubt great for people who need that, at least for these first words that it's throwing at me, these are all words and things that I know how to say. So I am just going to proceed to the lessons and see how this goes. Okay, so the copycat method, watch. So observe the conversation unfold, then you copy it. So shadow each phrase, and then role play with copy the cat. So let's do the complete watch.
Excusez-moi, monsieur.
Oh, so this is wanting you, okay, these buttons, tap the word that goes here. So excusez-moi, monsieur. Okay, yes.
Excusez-moi, monsieur. Où est le métro? Où est le métro?
Le métro est là-bas.
Okay, so I see how this is structured. So far, I actually like the design of it, although this first lesson is very easy for me. If you're just learning French, you don't know how to say any of this, I guess, or very much of it anyway. So it looks like the way Pimsleur is structured, where it's a very practical, super common day-to-day type of conversation, back and forth. You listen how to say both things, and in this case, you can also see it, which is an advantage over Pimsleur. But when we move into the next phase is, I think, and I hope, where it's a conversation where I'm speaking and it's giving me feedback. So let's see what that's all about. Tu as compris? Now let's copy what you heard. Great. Okay, to keep myself honest, I am not going to listen first to these, plus I've just heard them, but I am simply going to do the now you try, which is where I assume I say what it's got there on the screen. Let's give it a go. Excusez-moi, monsieur. 77%, not bad. Okay, next phrase. Où est le métro? Le métro est là-bas. It's only giving me 70-ish% on my pronunciation. Vous voyez? Okay, better. Ah oui, merci. Et le Tour de France? What? I don't accept that. Bonne journée. I literally say bonne journée every day of my life to people, and they seem to understand me. We're going to try again. Let me try to affect more of a French accent. Bonne journée. I don't think it like that. Bon journey. That's horribly wrong, and it scored it higher. Even if you don't speak French, you know that was wrong. Let's try this one more time. Bonne journée. Okay, finally got 70% with something approaching a correct pronunciation. Ooh, fantastique. I'm copying like a pro. Final step to complete lesson roleplay with copy. This sounds like fun. Okay, ready to roleplay. So practice where's the subway in a real conversation. Choose your role and I'll play the other characters from the dialogue. Okay, cool. Start roleplay. So I'll be the tourist. Why not? I'll be the tourist. Okay, so I'll read the instructions in English. So scene, you're on the street in Paris, a passerby is walking toward you. I'm the tourist, the cat is the passerby. To complete the lesson, we say in the scenario, what would you say to ask where the subway is? Okay, so I can either type it. Oh, I accidentally swiped over the little helper bot, which popped up right there. Dunk. Bye-bye. Okay, so it looks like I either type or record. So here's how the role play looks. So it describes a scene, and I will read this part in English. You're on the street in Paris. A passerby is walking toward you. You're the tourist. I'm the passerby. The cat is the passerby, the local. To complete the lesson, we stay in this scenario. What would you say to ask where the subway is? So here at the bottom, it says to either type or tap record. And I can speak English or French. I don't know why I would want to speak English. I guess that's if someone is truly... doesn't know any French yet, of course. But so I'm practicing French that I already know or think I know. So this is if I type something that sends it, and this button is record. See, I went to college. Okay, so let's hit record. So it's asking, what would you say to ask where the subway is? Où est le métro? Le métro est là-bas, près du grand bâtiment blanc.
Le métro est là-bas, près du grand bâtiment blanc, tu vois?
Okay, so, your turn. Try responding or see some paths. Well, I have an idea of what I could say. Let's see what this does. Let's see what see some paths looks like. So yes, thank you, thanks, and where's the hotel? I see. Their dialogue they have is basically, follows through all this. Okay, so it says it's over there by the big white building. Do I see it? So I'm going to throw it for a curveball. I'm gonna go off this script and let's see where this goes. So instead of saying any of these paths, see, it says tap a path to hear it or type record your own response. So my response, I'm going to say I don't see it. No.
Ah, tu ne vois pas? C'est juste après le parc, à droite. Et l'hôtel de France, tu le cherches aussi?
It took my no. I was trying to really force it off the script. It's trying to go through the script very specifically. It keeps going to say, are you also looking for the Hotel de France? I'll just play along with their script. We'll see how this goes. Ah oui, où est l'Hôtel de France?
L'hôtel de France? Je ne sais pas où il est, désolé. D'accord?
It thought I said auteur, not hotel. And I think I mangled my pronunciation. I don't know if it was that bad, but I guess you can tell me when you're watching this video. Okay, so it wants to wrap this up, so let's do that. It's been 15 minutes, so I guess that's the idea. So I'll say, okay, d'accord, merci, au revoir. Yeah, it liked that one. Bravo, you completed this lesson. I've done everything I planned to do for day one. I signed up, I took a look around the interface, I kind of figured out, how it works and what the flow is. I went down the flashcard alley before I got back to the main learning path, and I did the first lesson. That's technically, it looks like all they sort of expect people to do. I'm going to do one more because, I'm just getting warmed up. So let's role play with copy one last time and see how this goes. I want to be Martin. I don't make a convincing Sophie, apparently. Okay, so the scene. We're in front of the restaurant. Someone's calling you. You're Martin. I'm Sophie. Yes. I'm Martin. She's Sophie. And we're meeting in front of a restaurant. And someone calls out asking if I'm me. And so this tells me this is probably a Tinder situation. So how do I respond? Ah, oui? Ah, it's you. Hi, I'm Sophie.
Ah, tu es là? Salut, je suis Sophie. Comment tu t'appelles?
Je m'appelle Martin, enchanté.
Enchanté, Martin. Tu as faim? On peut manger ici si tu veux.
Okay, so obviously it's trying to keep me on the script as established, but I really want to see if I can break it either functionally or just its spirit. So let me try to get a little sassy and creative, and let's see how it responds when I throw something out there that is definitely not on the script. So I'm going to ask it something kind of forward, considering that this is sort of a Tinder type of a situation. Oui, j'ai très faim, mais je mangeais à chez toi, d'accord?
Oh, on va plutôt parler de la faim, d'accord? Tu as très faim, alors?
Okay, so if you don't speak French, what I said was, I said femme. It miscorrected to femme. Yeah, what I said was, yes, I am very hungry, but I'd like to eat at your place, okay? Copycat Cafe, if I can't have fun with this, it's gonna diminish my interest to hand you my money. Stay in this area to practice, okay. And my pronunciation wasn't that bad. I'm gonna listen back to this. I think that was pretty legible. I think if I said that to an actual French woman, she would understand, and I would get in trouble with my wife, so I won't be doing that, of course, I'm just saying. Okay, oui. Je suis très femme. I just basically said I'm very girlish, according to its...
Ah, tu as très faim. Moi aussi, j'ai faim. Il y a un restaurant là-bas, si tu veux.
My mistake. I said je suis. I just got through telling you that you say j'ai, like I have, and I said I am. That's why it messed up. That's on me. See? That's why I need this tool. Oh, it says I've completed the lesson. Okay, so what I'm figuring out is that now that I've completed the required amount of steps in the lesson, the back and forth, and I'm continuing on, I think it's going to let me go forever, basically. And I'm done with this. I feel like I've learned all it has to teach me for today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the back button and hit the back button again. Well, would you look at that? I'm a copycat kitten. So we've done these lessons. Ooh! At the bakery. Okay, so that's the end of day one, and honestly, not too bad. I like it. I see where it has advantages over certain other methods. It is very much what I thought it would be or hoped it would be, which is Pimsleur, but with feedback. So that's good. It doesn't let me go off on tangents, which I kind of hoped it would, being that it's an AI-powered thing. I sort of hoped it would let me have fun, take some little detours and curveballs, but it really wants to stick straight on that path that it is prescribed. And it seems like it should be more flexible, considering that this is an AI-backed tool. To me, it seems like it should allow you to go off into outer space with the conversation as long as you're on the starting point. But I understand that there's a method to the madness in this kind of a design. So I don't hate it. I like it. It's not everything I hoped it would be yet, but it's promising. So we'll see you here tomorrow for day 2 and see if we can bend this thing to our will. See you then. Okay, we're back for day 2. I've got a pork shank slow roasting in the oven for dinner and a baby to pick up in about an hour and a half. So let's get after it. Continue learning. Continue to lesson 3. Let's do that.
Bonjour, madame. Vous désirez?
Bonjour. Je voudrais un café et un croissant, s'il vous plaît.
Okay, so...
Oui.
I don't know what the learning objective is other than to see if I can tell that I have one option, but I'll take it. It totally makes sense that if you're just learning French or this is at a level that you haven't reached yet, that you would need to review it. Totally get it. I already know all this stuff. I say these kinds of things all the time. They are using the formal or polite construction of vous versus tu, which is what you use with closer friends and family, generally speaking. And that's good. It's probably better to default to learning formal. I think pretty much every French learning experience I've had defaults to that. Duolingo does mix it up, and they teach you the differences between the two. And at Alliance Française, there was a big focus on when to use what, and the general rule of thumb is default to the formal. And of course, with strangers, default to the formal. That's just day-to-day best practices, as they like to say on LinkedIn. But I don't feel the need to review this anymore, so let's get into talking to Copy the cat. So this is where my ego is about to take another shot because they think my pronunciation is only, higher end of average, and maybe that's fair. I'm definitely just doing this like I would do it at home, where I'm trying to get through the lesson and the learning. But I'm going to go through this lesson, and then I may step it up a notch and see what happens if I kind of raise the level intentionally and get something more challenging.
Bonjour, madame. Vous désirez?
Bonjour, madame. Vous désirez? Parfait, 83%. I'll take that. So I'll make a quick note. If you were really just learning French, there's a concept that exists in other languages too, but in French it's called liaison, which is where two words connect depending on what the outgoing and incoming vowels or consonants are. So 3 euros is pronounced 3 euros. So it's 3 euros. Let's listen to them say it again so you can hear it.
3 euros, s'il vous plaît.
3 euros, s'il vous plaît. 3 euros, s'il vous plaît. Okay.
Tenez.
Tenez. What? Tenez.
Tenez. Tenez. Tenez. Tenez.
Tenez. There we go. I went from 0% 3 times to 96%. Be honest, could you tell a major difference? You know, I think the word caught in my throat at one point. Did you tell a 96% difference between the two ways I said that? Ready to role play? Oh, practice at the bakery in real conversation with copy. I like the bakery. Still a chunky kid, but former fat kid here likes the bakery. Okay, who do I want to be? Well, I want to be the customer. I'll be the customer.
Bonjour, madame. Vous désirez?
Try respond. Oh, so I just respond. Okay, so as far as the interface, not bad, pretty good. I will say that it's not quite intuitive to me yet, but that's not its fault as much as I don't know how to use it. But I will say that like in the speaking exercises, this is AI based. I would think that there would be some way for it to detect speech to where I could just, on the previous set of exercises, where when it's my turn to speak, I could just speak and it would hear me. I would think it would always be listening, because once you enable the permissions for it to listen to your microphone, the flow would be a lot better for me if it was listening with your permission, of course, not when you're, off of this app. And I think it would be better if it was listening when you're in session like this and you've authorized it so you could get a flow going with the conversation, because the stop and start is it's kind of what irritates me about Duolingo, frankly. So let's see here. So in this case, the fact that I don't know the interface is not the interface's fault. So I either try responding, and I can choose to see some paths of where this would go. So let's see what their paths are that are recommended, and that way I know how we can kind of be most productive about this. Okay, so it's versions of I would like a coffee and a croissant, s'il vous plaît. All right, so completed this lesson, and what do I think so far? Well, I think this is an engaging interface and app. It does seem like it moves very slow, and it's a little cumbersome with the inputs and outputs. But, I'll get used to it and get the muscle memory over the next few days, and that part will go away. And I'm not sure if the fact of it not letting me go off the spine is simply because it doesn't understand my pronunciation, or if that's hardwired into the program. I'm sure there's probably some of both, because my pronunciation is not great. Certain things are good to better than okay, and then some things really suck. So that's on me working on it. It's part of why I'm interested in this app. But what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to get under the hood here and bump it up a level. But I'll save going up to A2 until tomorrow, because this video is getting a bit long. Even if I chop this up, this is kind of more than I want to dig in on one lesson. So what I'll do is I'll start on that lesson at A1, and then I'll switch it to A2, and we'll see how that goes. Thank you for watching, and wish me luck tomorrow. Okay, welcome back. This is day 3, and I hope you'll pardon my extra glamorous attire today. I was up late working, quite late, and then the baby woke up an hour and a half earlier than planned, which meant that I'm running on about 3.5 hours of sleep approximately. So today's video will be an interesting case study in not just how bad is my French, but how do I function when I've barely had any sleep? Let's find out, shall we? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump to A2. So A2, they jump down to lesson 31, musical taste, the sister, vegetarian food. Only problem for me with the vegetarian diet? Not enough meat in it. Okay, so let's see, just out of curiosity, where B1 starts. Okay, this starts on lesson 61. So they have 30 per level. Okay, so 90 conversations across 3 levels. Like I said, see, tired. Because our finances are actually really tight right now, I'm tempted just to jump to tight finances, lesson 36 here toward the bottom. But let's just take the first one. Let's go to musical taste, see what they have for us. Okay, so we watched, etc. I guess they consider this a feature, you could consider it a bug, which is that it will not let you make the wrong choice and then, tell you later that you got it wrong. It insists that you make the right choice, so you could literally just go through and click everything. So you're not really learning a lot that way other than how to click buttons.
Un peu de tout. En ce moment, je n'arrête pas d'écouter Stromae. Tu connais?
So far, this is more about testing if I understand how games work to manipulate the interface versus my knowledge of French.
Mais je préfère Justin Bieber.
Really? Bieber? This voice sounds like a middle-aged man and he's a big fan of Justin Bieber. I have questions. In the interest of time, I'm just going to dive right in. I'm going to just do my best to pronounce it without listening first, and we'll see how close we get. And I'm just going to do it once and move on, unless I get below 50%, in which case I'll try it again. Quel genre de musique est-ce que tu aimes? Super! Il y avait beaucoup de gens et c'était vraiment cool. That pronunciation of the word cool is something that I really enjoy hearing actual French people say. I think it's really cool. Okay, for some reason, the app has hung up. I don't know if it's got a bug. We have 8 gigabit per second internet, and my dongle on the computer is maxed out at around 2 gigabit per second. Let's see if this is an internet problem or a application problem. It's an application problem. Yeah, the internet in France is no joke. And if you're American, you don't want to know how little I paid for this. Let me know in the comments if you do, and it might make you cry though. Okay, so it's almost 2 minutes of still recording and the stop button not stopping. And just so you know, in my web browser, I actually went up and made sure that I'm not blocking content. I am not, I'm allowing any pop-up windows. I did all that before I got started with this once upon a time. So I'm just going to refresh the page. Let's see if it loses our progress or not. So the good news is I'm still in this lesson, but it lost the previous comments. So I'm going to listen to how they said that, but I think
Non, je ne connais. Stromae, c'est un artiste belge. Il fait de l'électro avec des paroles très profondes. Tu veux que je te fasse écouter une chanson?
See, I was trying to go back and listen to that pronunciation, and it started playing it, but then it loaded this next bit. So it's frustrating. Non, je déteste Justin Bieber. And once again, it's not letting me stop the recording. I'm going to refresh again. Now, when I refresh the page, that suggested path text not only disappeared, but the option to see a path disappeared. So that's maybe like a little bug they have to work out. If you folks are watching this, take note. You folks meaning the people who brought us this app. Okay, this is frustrating. So just a little technical context. I am on a 2023 MacBook Pro with the M1 chip, 32 gigabytes of RAM, a 1 terabyte hard drive, which is it's 40% empty, so there's plenty of room for a cache. And if this is too technical for you, what I'm trying to get at is this ain't a computer problem. This is not a problem on my end. You've seen the internet. I'm telling you what the computer is. This is buggy, and it's frustrating and irritating that I keep having to reload pages. So I'm going to do it, and then I'm done. All right, so I'm just going to click the back button and see what it says of my day here. It reset the level back to all levels here. We were working on A2 and it reset the level. So let's scroll down and see. It does show completed, so that's nice. All right, so this is the end of day 3. I'll save my longer commentary for the end of this video. All right, everybody, welcome to day 4. And we are going to give this a shot. I'm going to start in A2 with the next lesson. So I'm going to bump it up a level and see whatever the first A2 lesson is. And we'll see where we go from there. And just a little sidebar to preempt the comments. I don't really know what the hell I'm wearing either. This is called middle-aged suburban dad, post-dinner cleanup, fussy baby. I'm a mess, and this is the first handful of things I could put on myself after my other clothes are totally soiled. But let's get into this. Let's check it out. So I'm going to select A2, and we'll start there.
Chérie, tu vas où? Chérie, tu vas où?
Au boulot. Il faut bien que quelqu'un gagne de l'argent dans cette maison.
I totally haven't heard that comment before from my wife.
Dans ma situation actuelle.
So with that one, in the edit, I think I probably just chopped that up really quick to not torture you with the real-time version of what this was. Basically, some of these really long sentences, I'm old, I'm tired, I can't quite remember the whole thing. That's the issue. You know, I know how to say all this. None of these words are out of my knowledge and awareness. And there will be things that are, I imagine, in B1 when we try some of those lessons. So I'm not trying to, be defensive or something. But my point is that it's a lot, even at the slow speed, it's a lot to remember all of this. So at the normal speed, it's really hard. I can't keep it all in my head. And at normal speed, there are a lot of little connective tissue things in French that get contracted. And so between liaisons and then other things that just the French pronounce it a certain way. So it looks a certain way on paper, you write it a certain way. And if a teacher's teaching you in a classroom, they teach you bank, 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 bank. But a good teacher will tell you, in reality, we say this instead of that. I mean, contractions are super common and they are pretty regional too. In Paris, one of the most common ones, for instance, is the word for Saturday is, I'm going to miss and overpronounce it so it's clear, is samedi. So samedi is the word for Saturday. And in Paris, specifically, people say like samedi, but it's really quick. It's like samedi. Losing vowels is real common in different regions, but which ones? Apparently, every region has their own little quirks. So c'est difficile, y'all. I think one of my issues with this application is that there are unpredictable delays. Sometimes things are pretty quick and sometimes there's like a long delay. Even if I wasn't stopping to document this and comment, to you about things, I feel like this would be difficult for me to get in a groove with. I'll try it when I'm not recording and, don't care about explaining things as they go along. I'll try it some on my own without recording this for you just to see if this is any different. But the response time really varies in ways that are, it's frustrating. Okay, so once again, here at the homepage, it's defaulted to the all levels. It doesn't remember that I was doing A2. And I have to say that I'm done for the night. It's been another crazy long day with a lot of curveballs. And, I appreciate the idea of this app. I'll save my verdict for Saturday. The response time really is an issue for me. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker just yet, but when I tell you my final verdict on Saturday, if it's a no, if it's a cancel is the verdict, that's going to be a factor. So anyway, more about this then, and I'll see you tomorrow. Day 5, I'm back, and I did do a practice exercise before I started recording this today with the application I'm using to record and screen grab what I'm doing. I had that turned off, so no load on the computer, and I didn't think that was an issue. I knew that wasn't an issue, but just to be sure, so I could tell you that. So with only my web browser open, the response time is unchanged. It's just pretty slow while it thinks and spits out the answer. So little frustrating. We ended yesterday on A2, so I'm going to go ahead and jump up to B1 because tomorrow is the last day of this trial and I want to see what it's got for me at B1. So we select B1 and let me see what the options are. Since I'm only going to do a couple more of these, I'm going to see what most interests me. Going to the hairdresser, we'll choose this because I'm getting a haircut next week. I'm pretty overdue for a haircut, so this time next week, with any luck, I should look less like the bass player in a southern rock band and back to my default, which I've been told is something like Ethan Hawke with a thyroid problem. Okie dokie.
Je déteste me faire couper les cheveux. D'ailleurs, il suffit que j'y pense pour que je sois stressé.
I hate getting my hair cut. It's very stressful is the gist of what they said here.
Je déteste me faire couper les cheveux. D'ailleurs, il suffit que j'y pense pour que je sois stressé.
Although I still make rock and roll music, I have to accept that my days of having cool-looking long hair are over because I've got too much of a sunroof up top, hidden under this little silly man bun, which we're going to get rid of.
C'est sûrement à cause de ma mère.
Okay, in terms of storytelling, I do have to give them points for making the underlying issue this guy's early childhood trauma. But let's get back to the lesson.
Malheureusement, Ma mère n'est pas coiffeuse et le résultat était vraiment horrible. Malheureusement, ma mère n'est pas coiffeuse et le résultat était vraiment horrible.
Okay, I'll save my notes until we're done here, but I have a big feeling about what I just went through, and it's not good. This lesson was especially frustrating in a few different ways because it's extremely wordy. It's just hard to remember, everything. And, again, if I was totally fluent, it would be no problem. This is how French people talk, so I appreciate that. But the interface, I think, is a real drag because it's really hard to get into a rhythm when I want to be in a rhythm, but then when I need to slow it down, even the slow is a little too fast for me. So again, this is a me thing. People who are, younger, smarter, better at learning languages than me would maybe not have a problem with it. But for me, it's not ideal. So I don't know. We'll be back tomorrow, and I'll give you the final verdict, but I bet you can tell how this movie begins. So see you tomorrow. Welcome to day 6. This is the first thing I'm doing, having woken up about 20 minutes ago, which is why I look like it, and you don't know how I feel inside, but it's why I feel this way. But luckily I have café et pain au chocolat. And I do admit I have my nicotine vape. It's just nicotine. I'm not in California anymore. So let's get into this. Let's put this out of its misery. So I need to hop myself up on caffeine, nicotine, and carbohydrates and power through this lesson. Then I need to replenish all these items. Probably less of this, but definitely more coffee and more puffy treat. And I don't know, probably spend the next 6 hours editing, and I'll see you on the other side and tell you what I thought about this, the good, the bad, and the not so pretty. All right, so today I'm going to go back to A2 because that's the level that I really am. I'm going to be taking A2 as a proper course for my next course that I take, but I speak into the edge of B1, but I'm not B1 yet. Although I do find that I know almost all the words in these examples in B1 so far. I said this yesterday when I was working in B1. Most of these sentences were extremely long and wordy, and so it's just hard for me to keep track of everything and remember exactly what was said. So I'm going to go to A2 because the exercises were a little more forgiving for my brain. I'm just scrolling through my options to see what looks entertaining. I think we're going to go with this one. Ils sont fous, ces Parisiens. Let's see if they're going to where they're going to take this.
Est-ce que tu sais ce qui est pire qu'un Parisien?
Est-ce que tu sais ce qui est pire qu'un Parisien?
A judgmental AI.
Un Marseillais?
Wow. They're making friends and influencing people with this lesson.
Très drôle. Un Parisien pressé.
Wow. So it's insulting and silly.
Oui, enfin, tous les Parisiens sont pressés. Oui, enfin, tous les Parisiens sont pressés.
Say brave.
Les voitures ne s'arrêtent pas toujours au feu rouge. Les piétons traversent au feu rouge. Les voitures ne s'arrêtent pas toujours au feu rouge. Les piétons traversent au feu rouge.
All right, so I am off to edit this entire video that you're watching from about 3 hours worth of recorded footage this week. And I don't know how long this final result is going to be. Of course you do, or else you probably wouldn't have clicked on it because I'm keeping it as short as I can to still give you the full picture here. But when I'm done editing this, I'll pop back on and I'll tell you some final thoughts and, my take on all this and the final verdict. Am I keeping it or am I canceling it? And if you're at this point in the video and you want to play along and make a guess in the comments with a timestamp, cool. But you can probably guess where this is going. So see you in a little bit. Okay, so today is day 7 of this video experiment and the trial period has concluded. So if you're watching this video the day it's coming out, that's later today as I sit here. I'll tell you right now, I canceled Copycat Cafe last night, but let me tell you why and tell you also who I think it might be for, although in its current configuration, it's not really for me. So first of all, I think the idea behind Copycat Cafe is genuinely strong. You saw how excited I was about it, thinking it could be kind of the version of Pimsleur that I was anticipating would be an improvement. That concept, a structured conversation practice with feedback and pronunciation, is exactly what a lot of people are looking for. So on paper, this thing should be a home run. But in practice for me, in its current iteration, it didn't quite deliver on that. The biggest issue is flow. As I mentioned, the interface is still, seems to me, it's kind of buggy and it's very rigid. It insists that you stay on the predetermined path, seemingly word for word. You have some word choices, but you got to use basically some of the words they suggest. So that makes it hard to get into a natural rhythm. And if it was teaching vocabulary and grammar specifically, I would understand why it wanted to be so rigid about using the vocabulary in the lessons that it insists upon in the back and forth chat version. But it's supposed to be teaching your pronunciation. It's supposed to be improving your pronunciation. So it doesn't make sense to me that it's so rigid unless it's just not as thoroughly programmed as it could be. Ultimately, I found myself spending more mental energy trying to learn the rules of the app and trying to play it like a game than, working on speaking French, which is the whole reason that I had it. Now, to be fair, there is a free chat mode and you can just talk casually with their AI there. I did not explore that deeply during the week on camera. I took a quick look at it. It's similar to the idea behind Duolingo's Max, which we canceled that platform. We downgraded on Duolingo to the Super platform because the Max AI chit chat, great in theory. This isn't a Duolingo video, but I'll just mention because there's a lot of cross-pollination for all of us trying to learn language, right? We use different tools or we're curious about things. It didn't work at the time on Android, which is Susie's phone. And I have the iPhone, so it worked on my phone then. But it was good, but not great. And it wasn't worth literally paying, I think it seems like it was twice as much for the annual subscription for Duolingo Max versus Super. It was a lot more. So the free chat mode here in Copycat Cafe is like that, only not as good. So, it's interesting and useful, but 24.5 euros a month, basically, today's exchange rate, it's roughly 28 or 30 US dollars a month is the price of this right now. But the comparison to Duolingo matters because once you've used something like Duolingo for a long time, or you've taken real in-person classes at one of the best schools there is, your expectations change. And, and again, I've used Duolingo for French for 7 years. I've taken in-person intensive classes at Alliance Française in Paris. And, as I said before, those were honestly fantastic from my point of view. And if I was rich and had the leisure time, I would just dive into their program full time in person and be very happy and become really fluent in about 2 years. I do want to be crystal clear and fair. Copycat Cafe is probably perfect for some people, especially if you are just starting to learn French and you aren't burdened by what I know or somebody who's much further along than I am. It may be exactly what you want and the pace you need. If you don't know anything, you don't want to be in a hurry. You don't want to be rushed. So what felt like a lag to me may feel like generosity to you of time to think and figure something out. So, it has the structured paths and the gentle correction and, it's got its attempts at humor to correct you on some things. For me, I mean no insult, but it still feels kind of like a public beta in the software sense. Not the sociocultural insult sense to call someone beta. It feels like a public beta of this software. It's very promising, but it's not quite dialed in enough right now for how I need to practice. So I canceled. Not because the idea is bad, the idea is great, but the execution of that idea doesn't fit my learning style right now. Having said that, this is not the end of this experiment of Brendan Learns French, and there will be more videos with Susie learning French when Susie has time to sit in front of a camera and do it. She's still working on her path as well, but I am actively looking for the right tool or method for me that's going to help me get fluent as quickly as I can, but as comprehensively as I can, and at a price I can afford financially as well as price of my time. So over the next several weeks, I will occasionally be mixing in videos to our regular content. of me trying some of these different apps. For instance, I have a list here, Rosetta Stone. I'm going to give it a fair shot in 2026. I threw a little shade in this video, threw more than a little shade. So I definitely am going to give them a try and be fair about that. They have some kind of a free trial, I believe. Pimsleur has an online version, which I discovered, and I am excited to check that out and see what what they have in the way of a free trial. Lots of people swear by this Lingoda thing. Lingoda sponsors seemingly half the French YouTubers, or immigrants, expats in France, YouTubers or language learners on the internet. So I'll try Lingoda, and if I end up with a sponsored video, I'll disclaim it, but obviously this video, again, sponsored by us. And when doing research for this video, I came across something I'd seen briefly in passing, and at the time I remember thinking, oh, that sounds pretty cool. That may be something I should check out. But anyway, I've come back to discover Learn French with Clémence, and her program, that honestly looks really promising, at least from what I see of the description of the course and how it works and the price and everything. It seems like a really good deal. So I'm definitely going to dig into that. I'm also going to talk about things like learning French with ChatGPT in practice. And we'll also link our previous videos on using Duolingo and attending Alliance Française, and Susie and I both have our experiences with that. So you can check that out in the playlist that's linked right up there. So the bottom line for me is that if money and time were no object, the choice is really clear and simple. I would be back in classes in person in Alliance Française in Paris immediately and permanently until I was able to, pass the citizenship test, because that's sort of where this is going. The in-person experience was really great and just what I needed. But realistically, the online Alliance Française program, those courses are the best fit for my schedule right now. And, they're just expensive. So, semi-joking, but also real. If you want to help executive produce my French education, we have the super thanks buttons here on the channel. If enough support came in, then I would absolutely put it straight into the first month of the Alliance Française online learning and come back and report to you, very honestly. But until then, I'm just going to keep testing these different tools that I can find and that are at least free for the trial, see what works. And I'll be really transparent about what doesn't work for me and why. I'll try to always include my bias in this, so it's not just, not just my opinion, but you can understand where my opinion's coming from. So if you found this useful, please let us know in the comments below. Really appreciate you watching as always. This is a lot of work, but I'll keep doing it if you tell me that it's useful. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.